MLB.com's Mark Bowman covers the Braves, and we're talking about the penalties for this team. And Mark, I said earlier that it's not going to really affect the club on the short term. So what's the reaction down there in Atlanta?
Well, this is an issue that has hung over the organization's head for the last couple months. Obviously, there was probably some initial shock yesterday with the, how harsh the penalty might have been. At the same time, I think that people are, the folks within the organization, the fans are looking to move past this, because it has been something that, has ruled their off season and kind of neutralized everything they can do. There was a sense of relief last week, it felt like, once they added Alex Anthopoulos, and I think now, like you said, there may not be an immediate impact other than, filling out minor league teams next year. You're going to have to find some bodies. I think that everyone understands that this is a punishment that could have an impact on the organization for a decade, but everyone's looking forward to moving forward. They have that solid, even losing all these prospects, they still have a great farm system, and one that could provide riches and prove quite fruitful over the next few years.
Yeah, I think that this team, farm system-wise, and we see the rankings from MLB.com, I mean, they're top 3 on just about every list that you see out there. So the only thing I wonder is, for the long term, does it affect their window to win? Because we know that maybe 4 or 5 years from now, they might have a little bit of a problem as far as their farm system because they're lacking the international prospects. Do you think that ups the window for them? Do they maybe put more into the next 3 to 4 years, say financially, to try and win right now?
I think that they're going to have to assess where they stand with some of their prospects financially as well. I think that they were already maybe planning to do so. I don't think you necessarily rush the process this year. If everything falls right and some of these young starting pitchers, Luis Gohara, Mike Foltynewicz, they start taking strides forward, Sean Newcomb included, and you have the rotation in place, to where you can maybe make a run for the playoffs this year, fine. But I think if you really want to assess where this club stands, they look like more of a playoff team in 2019 and beyond. And as you said, now looking forward, you start saying, okay, when are we going to feel the impact from these sanctions? It's probably going to be 2020, 21. Moving forward, not only do you lose these prospects as players, you're also losing currency. You kind of look at it that way. You don't necessarily want to look at, players as maybe just currency, but at the same time, these are pieces that the depth that they had provided, the value they provided, they could have made other moves. That's where you may not have seen some of these guys on the field in Atlanta until 2020, 21. But it is going to impact how they can do things, and Alex Anthopoulos and his staff are going to have to be creative, think outside the box. They can't miss with their draft picks over the next few years. They were fortunate to just lose one draft pick with this punishment. But yeah, I think as you move forward, you don't want to rush things right now and maybe further, impede the progress you've already made. But at the same time, I think by 2019, there may be a need to say, hey, look, if we can make an impact with trade or signing on the free agent market, I think there may be a more of a desire to do something like that.
And Mark, Anthopoulos loves making moves. We saw the work that he did in Toronto. I like that they bring him on to be the general manager to get going with this new regime. He has a ton of work to do, though, so he has to deal with all of the penalties here. He's learning this team in general now, and then he jumps right into the offseason. Winter meetings coming up in a few weeks. What do you think he needs to do?
This is crazy. Think about what he's done over the last couple months. And obviously October 2nd, he finds out that a friend of his, John Coppola, loses his job. He's getting ready for the playoffs with the Dodgers. He goes through the World Series, and in the midst of the World Series, he gets the call. Yeah, Alex's life has been a whirlwind the last few weeks. And one good thing about him coming in here is he has his good friend Perry Manassian was already in place. So he was not hired till September 19th. It's not like he's has a strong understanding of the organization, based on the experience. But at the same time, here's a guy that it was in his wedding. He can lean on him. There is at least some familiarity there. I think that, moving forward, as you said, you look at Alex's history. He's not afraid to make the big move. He's like Coppy was in that respect. He's willing to think outside the box. You look at his track record there in Toronto. I think that he'll look at some of these prospects. If there's a chance to get some value that will provide impact at the big league level within the next few years, I think that you will see him pull the trigger and try to expedite this process moving forward.